I never thought I'd be the kind of man to test my wife. After all, we'd been together for nearly 15 years. We built a life, raised two kids, and weathered plenty of storms. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. I'm 39 years old, and lately, I've started to feel invisible in my own marriage. My wife, Claire, is 37. She's beautiful, smart, and busy, always busy. Between her job, our kids' school activities, and the constant chaos of daily life, I started to feel like I was just a piece of furniture in the house. Necessary, but unnoticed. It wasn't one big thing that got to MIT, it was the little things stacking up. She used to greet me at the door when I came home from work, smile wide, kiss me like she actually missed me. Now, she barely looks up from her laptop or the dinner she's half cooking while answering emails. Compliments disappeared. Date nights vanished. Intimacy. Well, let's just say weeks would go by where we were nothing more than roommates. I tried to brush it off. Marriage goes through phases, right? But then came the whispers from my buddy, Eric. He's the kind of friend who drinks too much beer and says things you don't want to hear, but can't shake off once they're in your head. She's taking you for granted. Man, Eric said one night while we were watching the game, you're busting your back at work, doing everything for the family, and what do you get? Silence. You should test her. See if she even notices you anymore. At first I laughed it off. Test her? What was this, high school? But then, after a couple drinks, the idea didn't sound so crazy. What if he was right? What if I'd become just a placeholder in her life? That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat on the couch with my phone in my hand. I downloaded a dating app. Not to cheat, not really. Just to see. Test. I created a fake profile. Nothing too flashy, just a stock photo of a guy that looked average enough to be real, with a generic name. I made the bio simple. Liked books, coffee, long walks. Something Claire might be drawn to if she were curious. The next day, when I had a spare moment, I searched the app with her age and location filters. And there she was. Claire, my wife. Smiling in a picture I didn't even know she'd taken, standing in front of a cafe downtown. My stomach dropped. I should have stopped right there. Deleted the app, gone to bed, pretended it never happened, but I didn't. Instead, I clicked like. I told myself it was just a test, just to see if she'd take the bait. Hours passed. Then my phone buzzed. A new message. It was her. Hey, I liked your profile. You seem interesting. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. She didn't know it was me, of course. But here she was, my wife, flirting with a stranger. I typed back, pretending to be this fake man I created. At first, it was small talk books, movies, music, but then she opened up more. She told me she felt unappreciated at home, lonely, like her husband never noticed her anymore. Every word hit me like a punch. And yet, instead of stopping, I kept going. I couldn't look away. I needed to know how far she'd take it. I thought I was in control. But looking back now, that was the moment I lost it. Asterisk the first night Claire messaged me, I barely slept. I just lay there next to her, staring at the glow of my phone, reading her words as if she were some stranger across town instead of the woman breathing quietly a foot away. At breakfast the next morning, I watched her pour coffee like nothing had changed. She slid the mug toward me, kissed the top of our son's head, reminded our daughter not to forget her math homework. Normal, everyday life. And yet, in my pocket, the phone buzzed with another notification from the other man. She thought she was talking to. I told myself it was just curiosity, that I needed to see what she'd say, what she'd do. Maybe she'd stop replying after a couple messages and I could laugh it off as harmless, but she didn't stop. She kept writing. Long messages. Late-night confessions. Things she hadn't said to me in years. She told him how she felt invisible at home, like she was fading into the background of everyone else's lives. How she missed feeling seen, missed the butterflies in her stomach, and the sick part. As much as it hurt to read those words, I also felt addicted to them. Addicted to the attention she was giving this fake version of me, I kept replying, careful not to sound too eager, keeping up the role. I asked her about her day, about her dreams, about her favorite memories. Things I should have been asking her as her husband. And the more I asked, the more she shared. Then came the message that twisted my stomach into knots. Would you ever want to meet up? Just for coffee. Nothing serious. I don't know. I want to feel alive again. I froze. My finger hovered over the screen. If I agreed, what then? Would she actually show up? Would she cross that line? I told myself this was the real test. If she went, then I'd know. So I typed back, sure, coffee sounds nice. We set a time for Saturday morning. A little cafe downtown. The same one where she'd taken her dating profile picture. All week I watched her. Waiting for her to slip up, waiting for her to look guilty. But she didn't. She hummed while cooking dinner, kissed me goodnight like always, texted me during the day about the kids. Meanwhile, she was secretly planning to meet him. By Friday night, I was a mess. Couldn't focus. Couldn't think straight. I kept picturing her walking into that cafe, smiling at some man she thought was new and exciting, while the real me sat at home like an idiot. That night, as I sat in the living room staring blankly at the TV, I realized something. Hey, if you're still with me here, listening to this madness unfold, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I've got plenty more stories where this came from, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next, because this is where everything spiraled. Saturday came. I left the house early, telling Claire I had errands to run. I parked across the street from the cafe, my heart hammering so hard. I thought it might break through my chest, and then I saw her. She walked in wearing her blue sweater, the one I bought her for Christmas years ago. Her hair was pulled back, her eyes scanning the room nervously. She sat down at a table, ordered a coffee, and waited. Waited for me. I never went inside. I couldn't. Instead, I sat in my car for nearly an hour, watching her fidget with her mug, watching her glance at the door every time it opened. Eventually, she left. She looked disappointed, but not devastated, almost like she'd expected the guy not to show. That should have been enough to scare me straight, to end it. But instead, it lit a fire I couldn't put out. If she was willing to go that far, what would she do next? So I messaged her again that night, apologized for missing the meeting, told her I got cold feet. She forgave me right away, said she understood, and then she asked if we could try again. And just like that, the trap tightened. Asterisk. By the time the second meeting rolled around, I was living a double life. By day, I was the same husband and dad I'd always been. By night, I was the faceless stranger. Claire poured her heart out too. She told him things that gutted me, that she felt more listened to in a few weeks of chatting than she had in years of marriage, that she'd started questioning whether we'd lost something we could never get back, and yet she still smiled at me across the dinner table, still kissed me goodnight. It was surreal, like I was competing with myself and losing. I let it drag on for weeks. Another missed meeting. Another excuse. Another round of late-night confessions from her. Each time, I promised myself I'd end it. Each time, I see OULDN until one night, when everything came crashing down. It was a Tuesday. I came home from work expecting the usual chaos of kids arguing and Claire cooking, but instead, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Claire was at the kitchen table. A manila folder sat in front of her. My stomach dropped the second I saw it. "Sit down," she said. Her voice was steady. Too steady. I sat. My palms were slick with sweat. She opened the folder and slid it toward me. Inside were printouts. Screenshots of every message I'd sent her from the fake account. Every line. "Every word you think I wouldn't recognize how you type?" she said softly. "You think I don't know my own husband?" I felt the blood drain from my face. I knew after the first night, she continued, "The way you write. The phrases you use. The stories about books. It was obvious. I wanted to see how far you'd take it. My throat went dry. Claire, But she wasn't done. She slid another sheet across the table. This one was different. Not screenshots of messages, but a transcript of a phone call. My phone call. It took me a second to realize what I was looking at. You remember Eric? She asked. My stomach twisted. Eric? The buddy who'd planted this idea in my head. She leaned back in her chair. He called me. Told me everything. How you set up the account? How you watched me. How you said I was taking you for granted. I couldn't breathe. My own friend. He's the one who gave me these transcripts, she said, tapping the papers. Apparently he's been recording you for months. I don't even want to know why. But he gave me proof of everything. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. Claire's eyes filled with tears. Do you understand what you've done? You didn't just test me. You humiliated me. You lied to me? You broke trust in a way I don't think we can come back from. I thought. My voice cracked. I thought you didn't care about me anymore. I thought you'd given up on us. Her laugh was bitter. So your solution was to catfish your own wife? The weight of it hit me then. Not just what I'd done to her, but how deep the betrayal ran. You want to know the worst part? She whispered. It wasn't you who broke me. It was Eric. Knowing you sat there with your so-called best friend and told him how little you thought of me, that hurt more than the fake account ever could. Silence filled the room. Finally, she stood, grabbed the folder, and walked toward the bedroom. Over her shoulder, she said, You've got until Friday to figure out where you're staying. And just like that, 15 years of marriage cracked down the middle. But the nightmare wasn't over. Because Eric wasn't finished with me either. Asterisk Friday came faster than I wanted. I packed my clothes in silence while Claire moved around the house without looking at me. The kids avoided eye contact. Even the dog seemed to know I'd messed up beyond repair. By the end of the week, I was staying in a short-term rental with peeling wallpaper and a couch that smelled like mildew. From a 4-bedroom home to this. The divorce papers came a month later. Claire wasn't cruel about it. She didn't scream, didn't drag me through court battles, but she didn't forgive me either. She asked for primary custody of the kids, and they didn't fight it. Why would they? I was the liar, the one who'd broken their mom's heart. Every other weekend, I'd pick them up, and the ride would be filled with awkward silences and half-hearted small talk. They were polite, but distant. Like I was a distant relative, not their father. At night, I'd sit alone in that dingy apartment and scroll through my phone, half tempted to text Claire, half terrified she'd block me if I did. The man I thought I was, the good husband, the loyal dad, was gone. And the worst part was, I'd killed him myself. Then one night, I saw something that sent me spiraling all over again, Eric. I was picking up the kids from Claire's place when I saw his car parked in the driveway. At first, I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe he'd just dropped something off. But then I saw him through the window, laughing, sitting at the table with Claire and the kids, like he belonged there. Rage bubbled in my chest. I wanted to kick the door down, drag him outside, and demand answers. But I didn't. I drove away with the kids in silence, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Later that week, I confronted him. Met him at the bar where we used to hang out, though it felt more like enemy territory now. Why? I asked, slamming my beer on the counter. Why would you betray me like that? Why tell her everything? Eric just smirked, leaned back in his chair. Because you deserved it, man. You were treating her like she was invisible. And don't kid yourself I didn't make you set up that fake profile. That was all you. I stared at him, stunned. So what? You wanted to be the hero? Sweep in after you ruined my marriage? He shrugged. She deserves better. And honestly, so do those kids. You blew it, not me. That night, I realized the truth. Eric hadn't just been a friend whispering doubts in my ear. He'd been waiting. Waiting for me to sabotage myself so he could slide into the life I built. And I'd handed it to him. On a silver platter, the irony burns every time I think about it. I created a fake man to test my wife's loyalty. But in the end, it wasn't her who failed. It was me. I destroyed my marriage. lost my family, and handed my so-called best friend the chance he'd been waiting for. Now, 6 months later, I see Claire sometimes when I pick up the kids. She looks lighter, happier. I've heard Eric still comes around, though neither of them confirm it. Maybe they're together. Maybe not. But either way, my place in that house, in that family, is gone. I scroll through photos of the kids on social media, see them smiling at school events I wasn't invited to, see Claire posting about new hobbies, new adventures, and I sit in my empty apartment. Wondering how one stupid decision spiraled into losing everything, I thought I was testing her. Turns out, the only one who failed the test was me. With that said, thanks for watching. Until next time, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this.